Okay, we're back out here, going to start looking to put this back together. We replaced that hydraulic tube, as you've maybe watched in previous videos. Check it out. I've got the drain plug back in the transmission, and I'm gonna go ahead and pour some of this hydraulic and transmission fluid in here. Just gonna pour a little bit in here just to kind of validate that there's no leaks. As we saw in the previous video, after we pulled this manifold off down here and let it drain off overnight, we came back to a mess all over the floor because all the oil that was in the transmission leaked out through the hole in the tube that was in there. So good sign so far. We don't see any leaking out, but we'll let that set for a little while. And what we'll do, probably go ahead and pull this plug out right here on the side of the transmission and go ahead and get that capped off and filled, so we can go ahead and put the lid back on. Still going to paint the manifold here in just a little bit. All right, stick around. All right, we're going to go ahead and get this transmission filled up. I removed that plug on the side there. Here's a plug here that was inside of there. That's when you change the fluid, you're supposed to pull that out, and I guess once the fluid starts coming out of that hole, you know that's time to stop pouring in there. Try to go slow so I don't waste too much fluid. I did move the drain pan. It's getting there. I think it's probably going to take this whole jug, but we'll see. We'll go from there. Oh, see, we got too much in there now. All right, so we'll just let that drain out for a little bit. I'm not going to get too picky about the little extra in there. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. But all right, I'll tighten that up, and she looks nice and full down in there now. And let's see here. I'll figure out what size wrench this is. It's not 11/16, so that would probably be a little bit smaller than that. Probably a 3/4, I guess. Here, let me get a wrench on that. All right, it's actually a 9/16. Well, actually, it's a square bolt, but I think that's probably good enough. All right. Let's get this lid cleaned up and figure out how that shifter goes back in there, so we can, we're going to have to check this, clean this gasket up a little bit. I'll get something and wipe that gasket away from so I don't wipe any of that dirt in the transmission. I was cleaning up this, the lid for the transmission. I thought it was pretty cool to see how the safety switch here works. You can see if you move the shifter, I guess each one of these notches here is a gear. And then this moves around. I don't know if I can see, that's kind of like neutral, but if you slide it to where it's in gear, it closes that hole so you're unable to push that. It doesn't allow you to push the starter switch in. So I guess that's like the neutral safety switch, like they do on the steering columns of trucks like that one over there. But that's pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna get this cleaned up, and we're gonna stick it back on there so we can move on to getting this tube. I probably should paint this first, maybe. I'll go put this on so that can dry while I work on getting that bolted up. Let's do that first. All right, I've got this taped up on the sides that go to the manifold and the block. But what I'm going to do, and I've got it taped, and you can see the outline, but basically take a hammer and gently tap it, go all the way around like that. And that'll actually cut the tape so that you can actually pull it so it separates there like that. So I'll do that and go all the way around, so we'll have a nice clean template, so we'll be able to spray this whole thing. I may sand it down a little bit to get some roughness, then we'll prime and paint it. And here's the, this is the current paint that I'm using. I think I got this from, there's the label, red, safety red. So it's not the, I don't know what the red color, actual color it's supposed to be, but this is probably what was used to paint the tractor originally. It's probably not the original color, but if I would decide to repaint the entire tractor, I'll do some research and make sure I get the right stuff. But this paint, when I painted the carb, and it's actually pretty close match to this after I cleaned it up a little bit. So we'll go from there. And after you peel the table off, that's basically what you're left with. So then it's ready for painting. So we'll do the same thing to this now. I don't have the tripod here, so otherwise I'd film it, but you get the idea. Just lightly tap it around the edge and it basically cuts the tape. Okay, here we go. It's basically just lightly tap it as you go all the way around. You start to see some of the metal show up through the tape. That should be pretty close. And it just comes apart. Oh, need a little more. Alrighty, there we go. There's the other side done. Of course, we're back here in my wood shop now, so using the vise on the bench back here, but it's quite a mess back here too, so we'll get it cleaned up. Maybe I'll do some videos of cleaning this up. But, you know, we got the big old table saw and, you know, other stuff. And then we've got, over here, we've got, oh, yeah, we've got one of those joiner. And then we've got a old milling machine here, or lathe I should say, sorry, the milling machine's under the cover there. Alright, let's get back at it and get this painted. We got it sprayed down with some Stealth Etch primer. Same stuff. This is aluminum, so I'm not sure that's going to work. It says it's for aluminum, so should be okay. Dries in 15 minutes. We'll let that dry for 15 and then we'll put a coat of red on it. I think we might put another coat on it. Alright, I think we'll go with that. Maybe we'll let that dry for a little bit and put another coat. As the saying goes, while I'm here and while I got it off, maybe I should paint that. Maybe it's paint the pieces I touch so I know I touched them. Maybe, I don't know. We'll think about that. Alright, I did clean this up in the parts washer, and I don't think I'm going to paint it yet. It kind of matches the patina of the truck. I mean the tractor. So, I mean, we may end up painting it, but I'll probably just do it after it's been put on the tractor. So after I power wash it. So we'll go from there. Let's get this set on top of there so we start bolting it down. Well, I wasn't really sure how this leg, there's a spring right here under here that sets in the case of the transmission that this presses down on. I thought it was a pin, but it's a spring, so I'm not sure what. I'll have to look that up and see what that's for. But I mean, I've got it somewhat tightened down, and it just sits right down, straight down. And I mean, of course, I didn't cleaned it out and I got all the grease out of it, so it's shifting a little bit rough, but we'll get some grease and push down in there. Hopefully that makes it a little bit easier. Probably should have greased it up before I put it back on there, but I may still do that. And then we'll go from there. All right, she's all bolted back down. I figured I'd spare you all me putting the bolts in and tightening them down. You probably watched enough of that when I took it off, so we'll cut to that. And we've got the manifold brought back inside because it's getting dark outside. Let that finish drying up, and then we'll put that on. What I may do while I'm waiting is go ahead and drain the rear diff as well, and see, may put some diesel fuel in that, because I haven't cleaned that out yet. We've done the transmission and the hydraulic system. That way we'll see whether or not there's any leakage that comes out through the rear end through those tubes. Hopefully not, but we'll see. Okay, we're back under here, and you can see transmission plug here, hydraulic there, and this is the rear end plug here. So I don't know if this will work here. We got the pan moved on here. I don't think this wrench is actually too small. Yeah, that's a busted knuckle. I may have to put the camera down for this. Not that you need to see this, but yeah, let me put the camera down. Let me crack it loose, and then I'll get back with you. Yeah, that was definitely a two-hand job. All right, I think I got it loose enough to pull it out here with my hand. And this is the rear end. We'll see what kind of mess we got in here. Oh yeah, that's nice and lovely. A little bit of water or sludge. So we'll let that drain for a little bit. You can see a little glops of stuff coming out. Let that drain out, then we'll probably pour some diesel fuel in it once it's done, and then we'll drain it out again. All right, back at you in a bit. Yeah, that looks like new oil there coming out, so hopefully that's not the transmission fluid or the fluid I put in the transmission, but I guess we'll see here in a little bit. Let it drain. It's starting to slow down, so I'll open up the fill cap on the transmission just to make sure. But we'll let that drain for a little bit, and I will not leave it overnight. I'll put the plug in before I go in. I certainly don't want a mess on my floor again. But all right, I think we're done for this segment, because I'm gonna just let it drain for an hour or two and come back and check on it, and go from there. It's still taggy, so I guess we'll install that tomorrow. I guess toward the end of this video, we'll get that, but we'll go ahead and I'll put the drain plug back in the rear end here. So I'm gonna take and open the fill cap for the rear end here. That's probably overkill with that extension on there. There we go. I don't know this. There we go. Just need to break it loose a little bit, and then I get the rest of it with my hand. Put that over there. Throw that up there. And there. That's the only plug I've had. I've taken off that actually had some gasket left. I've got 3 new gaskets I'll put on before I close up shop for it. I don't know if you can see anything. Let me see. See anything down in there? I've already drained it, and I put a, before I left to go inside for a little while, I put that pan on there just to see how much more leaked out after I left. So it stopped after that little bit. So I think we're good. None of the transmission stuff is dropped in there. So that's, it looks not really a lot going on in there. I don't see. Yeah, you can see kind of down there. It's got a little bit of milky looking, I don't know if it's sludge, but I'm gonna throw some diesel fuel in there and let it set for a couple hours or maybe until morning, and then we'll go for there. I'm gonna put the camera down and put some in. I've got it in this container here. Certainly don't want to do that with one hand because I'll have it everywhere. But I guess this will be it, and then we'll catch back up in the morning to put the manifold back on. Chick-fil-A is life.